I'm the overlay. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
And we are live. Welcome to Lioness Lifestyle Live.
We are so excited to meet with you this evening.
So I hope you guys liked the intro. We got struck with a copyright, so my husband ended up creating a new intro for us. I hope you liked it. Let us know in the comments. If you have any questions for our awesome guests, please remember to put the 3 question marks or a QQQ in the front of your comments so we can see it better.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? I know what time it is. It is time for the roar of the week. So every single week we hunt through the comments. We really get our claws in there and we try to find a roar of the week. And it's hard every week, you guys. This week I just couldn't even decide. In fact, I had kind of 2 and I was going back and forth. But I'll tell you what, I finally decided on this one from Jennifer Culberson, 1818. So she says to our guest last week, thank you, Allison, for sharing your story. This way of eating heals so many medical conditions. I changed to this way of eating due to a recurrence of cancer. With immunotherapy and this way of eating, I am now 1 year cancer-free. The other benefits were decreased joint pain and weight loss. I wish you the best, Allison, and hope your health continues on a positive path. So thank you so much, Jennifer.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right? You see why I picked it, right, ladies?
That's incredible.
A year without cancer.
I'm Haley, and I'm the new Lioness on this show, and I'm so excited to be here. My first week was last week, but I have an exclusive interview with Christy at Meeting Wellness on December 30th at noon. I think it's Pacific and 3 Eastern. And Ellie's going to actually join us at the end of the interview if you guys want to come and see all of us jive together. So come join us on December 30th.
It should be a lot of fun. So I think it's time to bring our guest on. I'm so excited. We are so excited to welcome Karyn from OurSufficient Life. Let's bring her on in.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Karyn.
Welcome. We would love to know how your health journey has been and how you found the Carnivore Diet. Please give us all the juicy details.
Okay. Well, like a lot of people that you have on here, I was the classic yo-yo dieter. So I was actually just like chubby when I was little. I was pretty good in high school. I was maybe just a little overweight. But then I started piling on the pounds. And I tried everything. I don't know if you're familiar with the cabbage soup diet. Anybody?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I couldn't eat cabbage like for years after I did that diet because that's all you eat is that cabbage soup. I did lose some weight, but it was awful. I did a diet called Lose 20 Pounds in 2 weeks. And basically it eliminated all the salt in your diet. So you were actually just losing water weight, but I didn't know any better at the time. I've done diets I've made up, like the baked potato diet. I just ate baked potatoes whenever I was hungry. I've done calorie restriction. I always would lose some weight, and then gain it all back plus more. It's the typical yo-yo dieter story. Then in 2008, I tried something that had to do with the glycemic index, like the glycemic index diet and foods that were low on the glycemic index. And I was starting to learn a little bit about insulin and how foods affected your insulin. So I did learn some things from that. And I actually lost like 80 pounds on that diet. But again, when you hit that stall and you don't really know what you're doing to begin with, then you just stop and you gain it all back again. So that's, of course, what happened. Then in 2016, I tried keto for 6 weeks. I made it 6 weeks. And it was working, but I just couldn't sustain it for whatever reason at the time. And then in 2020, I tried intermittent fasting, which I thought was fantastic because I can eat whatever I want to eat as long as I eat in this window of time. And that worked for a while. I was mainly concerned not about what I was eating, but about the portion size. And so I lost probably 40 pounds on intermittent fasting, but I hit a stall at like 5 months in. And then the last 3 months, I was just stalled. And I just said, you know what? It's not working anymore. So I'm going to stop. Well, then I got a kind of a wake up call this last summer. I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer. And so I ended up having to have a radical hysterectomy and an oophorectomy, which means the entire uterus, the cervix, the fallopian tubes, the ovaries, everything gone. And one of the things that my surgeon said was that it's more common in overweight women because your fat produces estrogen, and it's the excess estrogen that promotes the growth of these cancer cells. And I was just floored. I was like, are you kidding me? I had no idea. And so now I'm thinking, okay, it's not only unsightly, but it's promoting the growth of cancer in my body. So I was shocked, and I knew I had to do something. And so I started researching while I was healing from that. And I thought, keto, I knew keto was working for me at the time when I did it. And I knew intermittent fasting had worked for me. So, hey, why don't I combine those two things and just see what happens? So I went online and I was researching keto. And I came across the word ketovore, and I was like, what the heck is ketovore? I've never heard of that. Then I looked that up and found out it was also a combination of keto and the carnivore diet. So then, of course, I found the usual suspects, Dr. Berry and Dr. Chafee, and I was looking at all of that. But there was really 2 videos that I watched that were very pivotal in my decision to really go for this and try to make it a lifestyle. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie Fat Fiction.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Really, you've seen it? Okay.
Mhm.
If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. Okay, so it's Dr. Mark Hyman, and he's not full on carnivore, but he has a lot of good thoughts about a lot of things. And he did this movie, and it talked about a lot of the things that have happened in our nation to bring us where we are today. And the one thing that really stuck with me is when he talked about the sugar industry. So back in the 1960s, if someone out there is not familiar with this, in the 60s, they were going to do a study to see between saturated fat and sugar, what was causing the most problems with heart disease. And the sugar industry was obviously a little nervous about that. Well, they paid off the researchers to point the finger at saturated fat instead of at sugar. So now everyone was in an uproar, and this is documented proof. Like in 2016, in an article in the New York Times, it came out that there's like a paper trail that shows how they paid these researchers off. So anyway, then what obviously happened is people were in an uproar over saturated fat. And so they're like, oh my God, we need to take the fat out of all the food. And so the food industry was like, oh, hey, we can help with that. We'll take the fat out. But now it tastes like cardboard because fat is flavor. So what do? They put in sugar. So it was a win-win for the sugar industry. And meanwhile, we are getting the wool pulled over our eyes. So that was the first thing, the first video that I watched, and the fact that I remembered from that I thought, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. So then I watched a video by Dr. Joan Ifland where she was giving a seminar to some other professionals. And she is someone who has studied the addiction part of food. So like what happens in your brain when you eat certain things like processed foods and sugar and cheese and that kind of thing. And by the way, she says cheese is probably the biggest culprit of food addiction. So that was a new one on me also. But she was talking about in the 1980s when the tobacco industries were coming under fire for the product they were putting out and its addictive properties and the health problems it was causing. So they decided it was time to go somewhere else and maybe try something else. So they started buying, big tobacco started buying food companies. So RJ Reynolds bought Nabisco. So all your Oreo cookies, your Ritz crackers, all that kind of thing. And then Philip Morris bought Kraft and General Foods. So you're looking at big food companies here. So your macaroni and cheese, your Kool-Aid, your Oscar Mayer hot dogs, all of that kind of thing was bought by big tobacco. Now, what is the problem with that? Well, what they did was they engineered processed foods that would hit what is known as the bliss point and make them hyper palatable so that they could then cause cravings and addictions, just like what they did with the tobacco. So, and this is something that's different with the tobacco, the big tobacco food products that were produced. So I was reading an article that just came out this past September in the Washington Post, and they said that there were a group of researchers that compared the foods that big tobacco had a hand in making after they took over with 587 similar products that were not under big tobacco. And what they found was that the tobacco-owned foods were 80% more likely to contain a potent combination of carbs and sodium to make the foods addictive. 80% is a lot. And the tobacco-owned brands were also 29% more likely to contain similar combinations of fat and sodium that would also make those types of foods addictive. So, I mean, it just blew my mind. And I realized I'm an addict. I'm an addict of these processed foods and these sugars. Like, I couldn't believe the level of deception that was going on and promoted as normal and as healthy and as okay. But it's not. So it wasn't how much I was eating. It wasn't my portion sizes. It wasn't my calories. It was what I was eating. And that was the addictive foods. And that what I was told all along wasn't right. So it's kind of like lemmings running off a cliff, you know? Everybody's just following until their health takes a dive. And so it wasn't that there was something wrong with me. And I had thought all along, what is wrong with me? Why can't I stay on a diet? Why can't I just eat like Sally over there, And it was a big relief that there wasn't actually something wrong with me. Yeah. But I was led there, and we're all led there as a society. We're all being led over that cliff. So, I mean, it's like, come to the dark side. We have cookies, I mean, it's not.
Absolutely.
It's not good. So I was angry, and I just got my dander up, and I thought, I am not going to be one of those lemmings jumping off the cliff. I'm going to do something about this. And so that's when I started the Carnivore Diet. And that was back in July. So no processed foods, no sugar, nothing, almost zero carbs. I'm not going to say zero carbs because that's really hard to do. Even a little bit of spice might have some carb in it, so zero carbs is really hard to do. And I know there are people out there that are doing it, and I applaud you. But I don't think I can be absolutely zero carb all the time, though I try. But so anyway, I don't want to be one of those people that plays into the profits of these filthy companies that don't give 2 cents about my health. They only care about my money. So so that is what I'm doing. I'm taking back my health one day at a time, whilst, I guess you could say, trying to flip the bird to the the processed food industry and the sugar company. So
Yeah, I mean, I
Kind of
feel
talking
like
loud.
someone in the comments in one of my videos said, we're all red pilled and we can't go back.
Yep.
We just know now. And it's this horrible cycle of them telling you that the doctors will heal you, or that they know more than you. And then you follow what they say, which keeps you more sick and keeps you in the system of paying them money and keeping you sick. And that's exactly what they want. Unfortunately, putting on my tinfoil hat, and people can say what they want about that, but it's the truth. Like someone said here, they said, preach it, Karyn, you know the truth.
yeah,
And that's right.
yeah. I mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it. And I know that there are many good people who are doctors, but it's not really their fault either, because that's the way they're taught in medical school. I mean, they literally spend, I heard somebody saying, and it was on a YouTube video, and it was one of the more prominent doctors was saying they maybe spent one day on the food pyramid, which, I mean, we all know now that's a total disaster. And I also heard another doctor say that, and it might have been Dr. Shafee, say that there were even instructors that were on the keto diet, but were not allowed to talk about it. All they could talk about was the food pyramid. That was like regulated.
Right.
I mean, craziness. It's just craziness.
And then if you think about how the food pyramid came to be with Ansel Keys and his 7th country study, going to when it was supposed to be like over 20 countries, and he was finding that connection between saturated fat causing heart disease and the people. It was a completely fraudulent study. And so that was like one of the first things when I learned about carnivore and the sugar industry and everything, that just made me so angry, because it hit me to my core, because I remember learning the food pyramid when I was a child. And so this has been ingrained in all of us. And it's such a shame that, I mean, it's a blessing to know that we've learned it now, but it's a shame how many millions of people have been affected by money.
Well, and Ellie, we've learned the truth now, but most people think we're crazy, right?
Right.
They still agree with the food pyramid and the My Plate, and they think we're the crazy ones.
Right. Exactly. Well, and or they think we're some kind of conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But hello, who came out with the food pyramid? The United States Department of Agriculture. So what do you think is going to be the biggest thing on the food pyramid? Grains, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, people, if they just take a step back, there are too many people that trust too much.
Right.
Like, my mother, I love my mother. She was great. But it was like God and then my doctor. Whatever my doctor says is golden. And she also came from kind of the Walter Cronkite age of news and things. So she completely trusted the news. Completely trusted, the government wouldn't do that unless it was good for us. I mean, and there are a lot of people that need the red pill. And we need to give it to them, ladies.
Yeah.
We've got it. Here you go.
I
Come
know.
take it.
Right.
Right here.
Come to the dark side. We've got steak
Yes, we've got steak.
And butter.
and butter.
You know
Uh,
what's, I
Well-
noticed that in your videos you talk a lot about, obviously your channel is Sufficient Life, and so you want to be more separated from big box companies. Was that something you've always wanted to pursue, or is it because you learned about the sugar industry and then you wanted to be more sufficient?
Yeah, and the
And-
cigarette companies getting their grubby little
Yeah.
fingers in there. That's
Yeah, it was mainly the reason we started the channel to begin with was we wanted to be more self-sufficient. So, you can watch your bills go higher and higher and higher. And we wanted them to go lower and lower and lower. So we were trying to think, okay, what can we do? So we started Our Sufficient Life, which talks about self-sufficient living and becoming more reliable on yourself and not on the stores and the electric company and whatever else you think you need. So it's just all about kind of frugal living and doing things yourself. So what we did on that is we got a solar panel array on our acreage. So we pay very, very small electric bill. We became a tower host for an internet company. So I'm speaking to you on my free internet. And we put in a wood burning stove in case the electricity went out. I mean, we just started doing these things. And I grew up on a farm and Dan grew up on a farm. And so our mothers would do things like canning and stuff like that. And now and then I would help. But, it's just a channel about relearning some of those skills and then learning new skills so that you can be self-sufficient. If something happens, I mean, we all saw what happened with COVID and there was no toilet paper. I mean, and things were like removed from the shelves.
Yeah, the grocery shelves were bare and it was kind of scary.
You think if something really did happen, could you take care of yourself? That was our whole goal with the channel to begin with. But we're becoming self-sufficient toward retirement, and retirement is not something that's going to be very fun if you don't have your health, right?
Absolutely.
So that's why I've kind of combined what I'm doing with my health with the channel. So I sort of do a video on carnivore on the weekend, and then in the middle of the week I do something like with food preservation or something like that.
Yeah. Hey, I definitely want to dig more into that, but we have some awesome people watching that have stopped by to say hello. So if you don't know, can I pop them up on the screen?
Absolutely.
And we got a question really early on too, so I don't want to neglect that. So so we have Bruce saying howdy, folks. Bruce, thank you for coming in.
Howdy.
This is Becky. Hello, Lionesses. Oregon greets you with a
Hi, Becky.
wild roar. I love it. And then one of my favorite greetings, we can count on Gail for a meowdy. Oh, yes, thank you. Deb says, hello, ladies. Sorry I'm late. No worries, Deb. We're glad you're here. Lady Fritzader saying, hello, ladies.
Hello.
And My Apex Odyssey is here. And last but not least of the hellos is Sierra F. Dugan. She's new here. So hello from Montana, new to the channel and Carnivore Ketovore. So
Welcome.
Did you take the red pill?
Okay, I want to pop up the question because I want to make sure that we don't neglect it. So Emily's asking, is there such a thing as too much fat? I want to become carnivore after a total hysterectomy 4+ years ago and now type 2 diabetic.
So that's to me, right?
I think so, because you had the hysterectomy.
Okay. Well, I think you can have too much fat, but only so far as to not have diarrhea. So more fat equals looser stools.
Yes.
And so you need enough fat to keep that moving. But I have not experienced any constipation on the carnivore diet. and I am eating a fair amount of fat, I'll even just take fat and throw it in the pan and fry it up and have it alongside of whatever it is that I'm eating. So I don't really think, in my opinion, that you can have too much fat, other than it might cause other unpleasant issues.
Yeah, so I think you have to take time to get yourself fat adapted. And at the beginning, you may not be able to eat as much. But then, like, once you become fat adapted, your body is using that for energy, and you can sort of slowly turn that up. And then, depending maybe on what your fitness goals are, how much protein you need, and kind of balance that out if you're wanting to build some muscle and things like that. So I would just add that. Haley or Ellie, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid of diarrhea, especially if you're new to the carnivore diet, because I definitely experienced like 4 to 5 weeks of straight diarrhea at the beginning.
Wow.
And I was a little worried, a little concerned, but
Mhm.
and I'm not giving medical advice. If you're worried, please talk to someone about that. But overall, it just, like, all of a sudden I became fat adapted, and that's what I used as my kind of to let me know, my body was letting me know that I was fat adapted, because now I wasn't experiencing that anymore. So don't be afraid if it happens to you. It doesn't necessarily mean you're eating too much fat at that time. Your body, especially if you're new, your body might just need that time to adjust. And it is an adjustment for sure.
The one thing I have to say is, don't be afraid of the diarrhea. I welcomed it, because when I was on the standard American diet, I was chronically constipated, where I would only go once or 2 times a month. And it was the most painful thing comparable to childbirth. And I've had 2 children, I could say that. And it was absolutely horrible. So, but with the type 2 diabetes, it can be cured. It can be cured with keto and or carnivore, or ketovore if you want to go more in the middle. It can be cured. So you do not have to be stuck with that disease. You can heal from it.
Sorry, Ellie. I was just going to say, if you're on medication for that type 2 diabetes, please work with your doctor, because from what I hear, I was not personally type 2 diabetic, but I think I've heard some of the doctors in our space talking about you may need a medication reduction fairly quickly. So you need to work with your doctor on, getting that adjusted, and then hopefully gone out of your life.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I was listening to your story and how passionate you are about the food companies. And it just, if you notice, I was like, I'm so angry. I was like fuming back here. And so how would you go to somebody who might be questioning the carnivore diet and who is really reliant on those kind of foods, like Nabisco, Kraft, General Foods, and all that stuff?
Well, it's actually hard for me right now, because I feel like that I need to prove myself on the carnivore diet before someone will really listen to me. Now, I've lost almost 50 pounds, but I feel like the next 50 pounds is going to be where people are going to start asking me, what are you doing? And I can talk to them about the processed foods and the sugars and things like that. But right now, if someone asks me, I'll refer to them to the movie Fat Fiction, and also to the video by Dr. Joan Ifland. So, but if they're not ready to hear it, it's not going to make that big of an impact. I mean, I read The Obesity Code by Jason Fung when I was intermittent fasting, and a lot of this stuff is in there. I don't know if the tobacco company thing is in there, or the food addiction, I think, is probably in there. But anyway, I read that book, but it didn't really hit me until this last June when I was researching. So I think someone has to be ready for that also. But yeah, no, I will. If anyone asks me a question, I'm going to answer it. And I'm going to refer them to somebody who knows more than I do about the topic. But like I said, I think further down the road, I'll be able to be maybe a little bit more outspoken. And I'm trying not to be like, no one likes to feel like something's being shoved down their throat.
Yeah, like they're being lectured to.
Like their opinion doesn't matter. You're the only one that's right. I mean, I don't want to be like that. So I think it needs a gentle hand, especially when it's a topic that the mainstream doesn't know much about at all. So
Yeah, I think it's a religion, right? Where people, whether it's the food pyramid or vegan or plant-based or whatever people eat, and people could see us that way too. I absolutely, can see that. But at the same time, it's kind of like approaching someone about something that they've thought for their entire life. Maybe they're in their 60s or 70s, these people that we love so much and we want to share it. We want to red pill them. No, I'm just kidding. But we want to share it. It's like you want to share it when you feel so good. You want to do that. But yeah, it's like you can't unless they had some catalyst in their life. Like you said, yours was potentially, right? Cancer was your catalyst. And so
one of
that's
them, yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it would be great if we had that red pill, wouldn't it? We could just give them a pill and go, here, you'll understand everything.
We'll just go into your brain.
But we don't. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough road when you can see something so clearly, but you can't get a loved one to see it.
Yeah.
Or it's not the right time. I mean, timing is really everything. And your attitude when you're talking about it is everything also. So, I don't know. It's kind of a touchy thing.
On my 6-month update video that I just released, I got a comment today and it just blew my mind, like I was confused. So many of you know my weight loss is like very minimal because I didn't have much to lose. And so that was like not the focus. My focus of my video, I said from the beginning, this is going to be a very different video. It's not about the weight loss. And I was like, mental health, blah, 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 like all the things, not weight loss. Most of that video was about that. And their comment was, well, I'm not going to give up my pizza. And really it's about calorie, just restricting, just, reducing the amount of food that you're eating. And it doesn't really matter what you eat or something to that effect. And I'm like, but did you watch the video though? Because I wasn't talking about, they're like, oh, I lost 50 pounds by just eating less. And I'm like, but I didn't say anything. I mean, I said very little about my weight loss. And I said a lot about my mental health, my inflammation, all of this other stuff. I mean, I didn't even know how to answer. So I just said, hey, I'm happy for you on your, that you've been able to lose weight. To each their own or something like that. Like to each their own. Like
the only thing you can do is try to find something positive to say and not try to, and I wonder too, sometimes people that comment on my carnivore diet videos with something very negative, like, did you even watch it? And maybe it's just the trolls that they see a thumbnail that has something to do with carnivore diet. So they just click in and put some kind of crazy comment because they're trying to, I don't know, rile us up or something. I don't know.
On one of Garrett's shorts, where he's explaining, it's part of one of our videos, but in the comments it said, how do you poop? And I was like, we wait and feel. When we feel like we have to poop, we sit on the toilet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's these funny things where they're like, I think they were referring to fiber, right?
Yes.
Right.
But like Ellie said, that was too much fiber for her body. Yes. And some people handle it better, but it is these like little comments where it's like, okay, let me dive in a little bit and try to help you understand. Cause you can get a little frustrated, like just watch it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. So this came up from Becky. I'm not so does that mean that I got a super sticker? Is that what that means? I guess that's what that means. That's the very first one.
That's awesome.
Congrats.
Yay.
Thank you, Becky. That's so sweet.
That's so nice. Thank you, Becky.
Okay,
sorry, I saw that and I'm like, I better put it up there.
Look, Gail. There's Gail.
Oh, you guys are awesome.
That's so nice.
That's so nice.
Wow.
I worked really hard to get to this point on my channel, so this is like making my night. Thank you. You did. You did. You totally did.
she'll always be here first.
I love
Yes,
it. That's so great.
Oh, that's so good.
Aw, thanks you guys for the support.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I got all discombobulated now because of that comment.
So I was curious, Karyn. So since you're carnivore now, but you have acreage, and I've seen videos where you garden. Like, do you guys still grow your own vegetables? Does your husband eat carnivore? Like, what's going on over there?
Okay, so this last summer we did not have a garden, and it was because of my health and needing to have that surgery and recover. And I would be the main gardener of the two of us. But now Dan is ketovore. He's not full carnivore. He still eats some veggies and things like that. So what we'll probably do is just pare it down to what would be considered the healthier vegetables for Dan, maybe like the cruciferous vegetables, like the broccoli and the cabbage and that sort of thing, leaving out the nightshade type stuff like potatoes and tomatoes and that sort of thing. So I'll probably still grow some veggies, but they will be for Dan. And honestly, once I get all the weight off that I need to lose, I will start experimenting just a little bit with a little bit of veggie on my plate. How does that make me feel? You know? So maybe I will end up maintaining on ketovore. I have no idea. I'm just on this journey and I know I feel great. So I'm going to keep on with carnivore until I get all this weight loss, get all this weight off. But yeah, so we are still going to be doing that. The recipes are getting healthier on my channel. I don't know if you noticed that, but I used to have a lot of good home cooked meals on my channel and things like that. So yeah, so it's changing, but hopefully for the better.
So are you planning on having any animals on your property? I think you said you had 8 acres. I think I heard you say 8 acres.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was watching some of your videos over the weekend. And yes, I saw you like canning pork. I'm like, who knew you could can pork? Okay.
Yeah, right.
When I retire, I think I'm going to learn how to can stuff.
It's actually pretty fun. It's not hard. I mean, it's a little
Okay.
scary at first because you think about all the foodborne illnesses you could possibly get from something you're canning.
Right.
But I mean, there are ways to mitigate that. But yeah, so we have chickens. Dan built us one of the first things he built when we decided to do this whole self-sufficient thing was a really nice big dual run chicken coop. And we have probably right now, we have about 40 hens. So what we do is we sell the eggs and then that pays for their feed. So really, we don't have much of cost at all for having chickens. And that gives us chicken meat and also gives us eggs. So we have that going for us right now. We have dabbled in thinking about raising our own beef. So like get a calf in the spring.
Okay.
Feed them out until late fall. They wouldn't be as big as a normal rancher would want a calf to be before it's butchered, but it would still be small enough for Dan to butcher it himself. So, I mean, but these are just ideas that we have. So that might be the next thing we would go for because that's the most expensive meat in the store, but yet it's the best meat for you. Isn't that crazy?
How much is a calf? Like if you're going to buy a calf and like then raise it on your farm, how much is, I have no idea. Do you even know? Like, I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I mean, it really kind of can range. So we have some friends who are ranchers with cattle, and they were willing to sell us one for $350 to $400. And then we have so much grass on our property that we could just grass feed it.
Okay.
With a system that's like rotating pastures, like they only spend so much time in one and you put them in the next section and the next section. That doesn't kill the grass and allows everything to keep going. So yeah, you could feed it out with grass, and then so we'd have our own grass-fed beef.
Nice.
That'd be an entire beef, and I don't know what an entire beef costs to butcher and package. It's probably on the order of $1,500, I would think.
It's a little bit more than that here because we bought a half beef, and now I can't remember I don't think we know the final price because I don't think they're not even sure which cow it's going to be. But I'm splitting a half beef with like my brother and my mom because none of us had enough room. We'd buy the whole thing if we had space, but yeah, half beef split between the three of us. We'll have room to store it all. And I think it was like, I can't remember the amount for the whole beef, but it was like under $7 a pound for, and that's like and that's including all the butchering, everything. That's everything.
I mean, if you average that out with your most expensive cuts of meat right now, I mean, when ribeye goes on sale around here, you have to buy, in order to get a better price, which isn't a good price to begin with, you have to buy an entire loin.
Okay.
And then have them cut it, but it's still $14.99 a pound.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah. So I thought it was like I don't remember, $6.70 something, I think, a pound. So if you think, yes, I can get ground beef cheaper than that, but I can't get ribeye cheaper than that. I can't, and all the roasts and all the the picanha and everything that's in there, So, and plus it's going to be grass-fed, grass-finished. So like when I'm thinking about when my ribeye goes on sale in summer, it is $6.99 a pound, but that is not grass-fed, grass-finished. That's just grocery store, quality meat, So I was happy with it. I'll let you guys know. We're not getting it till April or May. That rancher's busy, Karyn.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be probably, if we added more animals, that would be the next thing we would add. We've also talked about adding meat rabbits. But rabbit meat does not give you all of the nutritional value. Like you can't just eat rabbit.
Very lean. Rabbit starvation, right? That's a thing.
Yeah, you can't just eat rabbits and get all of the nutrition that you need from meat. So, and I know that I feel the best when I eat beef. When I eat fatty beef, I feel the best. If I eat pork, I might have a little joint pain at some point, or if I, so I'm really learning now how food is affecting me. And it's nice that I can see, that eating beef is what I need to be doing if I'm really want to be effective and take care of my body. So the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, I guess that's what they say, right?
My favorites.
Yeah.
So I heard you say earlier that you've lost almost 50 pounds. Like, what is your goal? I watched some of your videos and you talked about how you've got like 4 50-pound goals. And I thought that was very interesting how you took your big goal, which sounds very hard, and then you broke it up into sections. I was wondering, can you elaborate a little bit more on, I know you're almost done. Like you're hoping to hit that first 50 pounds by Christmas.
Yes, I'm almost there. I have 2.5 pounds left. So it's going to be a squeaker.
Awesome.
It's going to be a squeaker, but I think I can do it. I just have to stick with the plan, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I broke it up because I know myself. And a goal like 200 pounds, if I was only 47 pounds into 200 pounds, it would seem like a drop in the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm only 2.5 pounds away from my first goal. So I broke it up into 4 different goals so that I could feel some celebratory yay as I was going on the journey. So we're all going to the movies on Christmas weekend if I can reach my goal. So that's the little celebration. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that strategy, and I'm very sure other people have adopted it, but you're the first person I've heard kind of articulate it that way, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like what I'm doing with my fitness goals too, like I chunk it up by months, and so I have a fitness challenge for this month, and I see what kind of progress I can make, and then I set another one, and it keeps me going. Like I've never been this consistent with my fitness, as I've been since I've started setting these monthly, I call them challenges, but they're kind of like, goals for myself. So I thought I liked the way that you're approaching that for sure.
Well, you hear people talking about goal setting and how motivating and important it is. I never felt like goal setting was very important. Yeah, this is what I want to do in the future, but I'm not going to put a specific date on it or anything like that, But then when you come to something like this, I feel like it's very important to have a goal. I want to be here by this date. If I don't make it quite by that date, I'm not going to beat myself up, but that's my goal, and make it a stretch goal, something that you have to stretch to get to.
Mhm.
So yeah, now I'm more with the goal setting thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Becky had a funny story. She said, I saw a 20-something yelling at a crosswalk button today. And
No.
all I could think was that I wanted to yell back to them, eat some meat.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious, Becky. Oh my gosh. We have a couple more people saying hi. So the carnivorous grandma is here. So roar at you, Robin, and also Carnivore Leo. So roar to my friend Rhonda. And there was somebody else. Where are they? Sorry, I lost it. Right here. So INFP Gamer says, I'm not fully carnivore, but trying to reduce the junk food and carbs. I love this. I have a coworker that is not even fully keto, but after hearing me talk every day at lunch, she started cutting out like the soda. She cut out all soda and like chips and stuff like that. And she's lost like 12 pounds. She's reduced her blood pressure medicine. So I'm right there with you. Small positive changes. And then we make those tweaks, and I think that's amazing. So we're glad you're here. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, any little step that you take is so much better than the standard American diet. I mean, any kind of step in the positive direction. Just keep going. Just keep making them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Karyn, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like exercising, or what your energy was like before carnivore, and what it's kind of like right now for you?
Yeah, I had deep energy issues. I had a lot of joint pain, I had a lot of inflammation. I didn't have much energy at all. I mean, I would sit down to watch some TV with Dan, and I'd be asleep, just tired, tired all the time. It was a struggle to get out of bed and get myself to work. And then at work, it was a struggle just to, get around and do the things that I needed to do. But now I am totally fine. I mean, I get up in the morning, I feel like I did 20 years ago. When I get up in the morning and I'm okay to get ready and get my shower and get to work, and all that stuff. And people kind of take that for granted until they don't have the energy. And I did not have energy before I was on the carnivore diet, but it didn't take long. It was maybe like, I started seeing little positive changes right away in the energy. It maybe took like a month or two. I think that's why they say give it 60 to 90 days if you're going to try it, because you need that 60 to 90 days to really see all of the positive benefits that can happen to you if you follow this way of eating. And that's what happened to me. So after 60, 90 days, I felt great. And I still feel great. So I'm over the moon with what it's done for me as far as my energy is concerned.
So there you go, guys. It takes 60 to 90 days. Don't give up after a week. Don't give up after 2 weeks.
Right?
Karyn is a great example.
Mm-hmm. And don't do it halfway and give it 60 days and then say, oh, it didn't work.
Yes.
Do it all the way. Really dedicate yourself to doing it, and you will reap all the benefits in 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, I think it's about time that we spin our wheel, because I would like to hunt down a question for Karyn and see if she'll answer it for us. So bring up our Lioness Live meaty question wheel. Oh, it's on the line. Okay, we hunted down a meaty question for you, Karyn. Have you noticed any changes in your physical performance or athletic abilities since starting this diet?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Oh.
So I'm not a big exerciser. Obviously, at my weight, there's not a lot of things I can do, but I can walk, right? So my walking, when I used to walk, I used to have to go very slow, and not like super slow, but slow enough to where I was quite a bit slower than everybody else so that I wouldn't get out of breath. And now I can zip down the hallway, no problem. I'm not out of breath. So yeah, physical performance without really doing anything except changing my diet. So I'm not like doing all these exercises or doing some kind of exercise machine or going to the gym or anything like that. All of the health benefits that I've received as far as physical performance are only due to my diet. So keep that in mind too. You don't have to go to the gym every day. You don't have to, run 10 miles. In fact, you shouldn't run 10 miles. You should sprint. Right, Christy?
That's right. Amen, sister. Sprinting is amazing, but we can talk about that later. It's not my episode.
Yeah, so if I could sprint, I would be sprinting, but I can't. So what I'm thinking about doing is, and if you don't know what we're talking about, if you go look at some of Dr. Sean Amara's videos, you'll understand that sprinting helps reduce the visceral fat, which is our real enemy. All of this out here, the subcutaneous fat on the outside, that's not the real problem. The real problem is the visceral fat around your organs. And that's what sprinting and a carnivore diet helps to take care of. So I can't sprint, obviously. So I have one of these little machines where it works with your body weight, provides resistance, and you pull up and down. So I figure I can do some sprinting on there, right? Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that as fast as I can instead of sprinting for 10 or 15 seconds.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, Russ is in the house, everybody. Hey, Russ. Thanks for stopping by. Well, Ellie, I think Karyn's channel is awesome. So do you want to bring that up and show everybody?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Come with me on a journey to the next tab.
To the next tab, yes.
So Karyn has a channel called OurSufficient Life, where she is taking her life back with carnivore, and she's wanting to be healthier with her husband before they retire. And like it says in the banner, they do homesteading. She's a carnivore. Her husband's ketovore, like we learned in our interview. And they don't want to rely on big box stores. So she's sharing her weight loss journey, and she reflects on interpersonal topics and hopes to inspire others. She'll teach you how to can some pork. She'll teach you how to make some jerky. And I am someone who's always been very interested in becoming self-sufficient, but I don't have the skills or the knowledge. But I really, really am excited to learn more from Karyn as I continue to watch her channel, because I've been watching for a while. So everyone, please go and subscribe to Karyn. She's been a wonderful guest full of such great wisdom. And I know that we'll be wanting to have her on the show again, right? In the near future. Maybe when you get some of those 50 pounds.
When you get your cow, Karyn.
All right, when it's a baby, but I won't show you when we butcher it, okay?
No, just out there eating grass and living its best cow life.
Right.
For sure. That's the part I want to see.
Okay, so is this where we have to go? Or we have a few more minutes?
I wanted to ask one question actually, and I'm just always so curious what the response is when you share your lifestyle with others, and kind of if you've had any experiences, positive experiences or negative experiences that you'd like to share with us about that.
Well, I can say that I've only had positive experiences so far, but I don't call it the carnivore diet. Because just like when you tell people you're fasting, they think you're crazy. That's kind of how the word carnivore diet is right now. Mm-hmm. Kind of like what keto was when it first started, you know. So I call it a zero carb diet. I just tell them I'm on a zero carb diet, as close to zero as I can get. Or I say I'm on a meat-based diet, meat and high fat, you know, or something like that. So I kind of like say I'm on it without saying that I'm on the carnivore diet. But it's been positive so far. And I do have one gal in the office where I work that noticed right away after I lost about 20 pounds. She's like, "What, are you losing weight?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, what are you doing?" And she saw what I was eating for lunch, which was just some leftover roast beef that I had made the night before. And she said, "You're going to eat all that?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to eat all that." And she said, "Well, how can you eat that and still lose weight?" I said, "Well, I'm going to eat this, and then tonight I'm going to eat again." and she said, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, no, you need high fat, you need red meat. And she goes, "That's not supposed to be good for you." And I said, "Yeah, I know, that's what they say."
There's your red pill.
Oh, I could get.
Taste my beef.
So what,
beef.
what would you tell someone if they responded with, "But what about cholesterol? What about your cholesterol?" What would you say to that person just sitting there at work or wherever you are?
I would say to them, I know what you're thinking. And I know that for many, many years, people have thought that cholesterol is bad. But if you look at the more recent information, you will find that cholesterol actually has very little to do with heart disease. And I have all these, I'm a fact person. So I have these facts in my head and I have bookmarks where I got the fact, But I would tell them 75% of the people that are hospitalized today for cardiac conditions have what doctors would consider a normal level of cholesterol.
Mm.
So it's not the cholesterol that's the problem.
Right.
So, I mean, the only way I feel like I can defend what I'm doing is with facts,
Right.
Yeah.
And if they're not willing to go look it up, or if I refer them to something and they're not willing to view it, or, they're not ready. They're not ready for it.
So at work, I have to grab something off my bookshelf. I want to show you guys something. So at work, although I have not converted anyone other than my friend who she was already keto and she learned how to read labels better from me. Okay. But at work, you guys have already seen my butter ornament. This came from a friend at work because although she's not carnivore, she's not even keto. She says she can't give up chocolate. She's not going to do it. But look how she supports me, right? So I got that. Got this.
I want one.
Friend at work today.
Nice.
Oh, fun.
Thank you guys.
Crack it open.
My mouth is watering.
And another lady who had made candy for everybody and put it in all the teachers' boxes. In my box, she put beef jerky and she said, "This is for a carnivore."
Woo! That's such a win.
Oh,
so they're not doing it yet, but they're supporting me, and some of these people need to do it. So it's hopefully, you know what I mean? Hopefully that's the first step, that it's a little bit becoming more part of the, okay, Christy's is doing this and didn't drop dead yet. So
she's not crazy.
Looking good and her skin glows and she's running around with all kind of energy like the kids around here. And, so.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful, that you're having this positive environment when you're going to work, because that can be the scariest thing when you're a carnivore, going out into those social situations, because you never know who you're going to run into. It could be a vegan if you're unlucky. Sorry, Haley, I know you're an ex-vegan.
I am an ex-vegan. Those are my people. My people. I sympathize.
I have a good friend at work who's vegetarian, and she's good. It's we just let each other do our thing. She's very nice. And she lets me talk. First I talk about meat and I go, "Oh, sorry." And she'd go, "Nope." She's like, "My parents eat meat. It doesn't bother me. You talk about your meat all you want, and whatever." I mean, you know what I'm saying? So she lets me do me. I let her do her, and it's fine.
So all we want at the end of the day is just to be more open-minded, and you might learn some information that you didn't know before, and it might change your entire life. At least that's how I think it's worked out for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, ladies, it's been an hour. I think it's time that we roar. What do you guys think?
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys got to roar with us in the comments.
Yeah.
Lions and
I wanna see
lionesses. Come
roars.
on.
Lionesses
Let's
alike.
see
Give
'em.
us a roar, give us a meowdy, give us a purr, give us a lion emoji, give us a any one of those.
All right, who's counting?
Down, girl.
Who?
Who's counting?
Me?
You're the
Oh,
counter.
me. I didn't hear it.
Ellie?
Ellie is
I
the
didn't
counter.
hear it. 3, 2, 1.
Whoa, Karyn was good. I think she was the
Oh.
roar of the night. That was amazing, Karyn. Oh my gosh.
Thank you so
Well,
much, Karyn, for being on Lioness Lifestyle Live. I think that you've given us so much information that I will need to rewatch so I can relearn it all again. And you're just going to be sparking so many new ideas and thoughts. And I think you're doing really good on your channel. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks very much to all three of you wonderful ladies.
it was very nice having you on. It was nice to meet you. And I'm going to keep watching your channel for more homesteading tips because I need to be more self-sufficient.
Awesome.
Yep. All right, everybody.
Guys.
We're going to see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.